as well. Councillor Zondervan?
Thank you. So I want to begin by once again sending my deepest condolences to the family of Arif Sayed Faisal, his entire community, and everyone who knew and loved him. This has easily been the most difficult week in my 5 years on the council. And it's a dark moment in Cambridge's history that we will never forget. And for so long, we have heard that Cambridge is special and that our progressive approach to policing sets us apart, and that the kind of racist, senseless killings that we read about in places like Ferguson, Minneapolis, and Cleveland could never happen here. Even the mere implication that it could happen here has been met with severe pushback by this council, the police, and the administration over the last few years. And yet, here we are, somehow trying to process the reality that a Cambridge police officer shot and killed a young man from our community while he was experiencing a crisis. Over the last week, there have been several rallies and events in which the community has come together to grieve and protest, including just a couple of hours ago on the lawn in front of City Hall, which was attended by hundreds of people. And one of the things that has come through so clearly is what this young man meant to his family and community. He was the only child in the light of his parents' life. He was a student, an activist, and a good friend with a bright future ahead of him. And that future was extinguished in just a few seconds by our police department. We've heard that the investigation will likely take more than a year to get answers to the questions we all have. I echo the calls from CARE and others for District Attorney Marion Ryan to not object to the family's participation in the inquest. And I hope that everyone involved will prioritize this case and work as expediently and transparently as possible to get to the facts. But we don't need an investigation to tell us that Faisal should not have been killed. Our response to a distraught person with a knife cannot be to send an armed police to shoot him dead. We have to wait for answers, but we cannot wait to take action. If we don't drastically change our approach to public safety, it's only a matter of time before this will happen again. Countless people have asked me over the last week what can be done, so I want to outline a few steps that we can take right away as a council and a city government. First, we have to make space for grieving, protesting, and processing the many emotions we are all experiencing right now. And I appreciate the managers' and mayor's efforts on this, and I look forward to the upcoming special meeting, where I will have a number of questions for our police commissioner and her team. Second, I call on the city manager to fund the HEART program, our city's community-led and run alternative to policing for nonviolent emergency response. Despite the lack of funding from the city so far, HEART has done yeoman's work to get off the ground. They have hired a full staff, including 7 fully trained responders who are deeply connected to the community in a way that the police or other city staff, frankly, can never be. They are ready to begin taking calls. All they need is funding and cooperation. And some will be quick to point out that even if HEART were up and running, it would not have received the 911 call in this instance because there was a large knife involved. But this misses the point, which is that HEART, if allowed to flourish, would be working with the community proactively and preventatively so that ideally somebody experiencing a crisis would be able to get help before it gets to the point where they jumped out of a window with a knife. And frankly, we need to get to a point where the police are no longer the only option for a 911 call about somebody self-harming with a knife. But the systemic change we need goes deeper than funding HEART. For years, countless members of the community have called on us to demilitarize our police force and to reduce the police budget. This council has so far rejected these calls, voting 8-1 against my annual motion to reduce the police budget, and failing to hold the police accountable for their insistence on maintaining an arsenal of deadly weapons that protect no one and demonstrably harm our community, disproportionately hurting Black and Brown community members. Will this year be different? That's entirely up to us, and I hope that you will engage with me on these important topics. Finally, we need to start taking seriously the mental health of our residents, and especially our young people. The mental health services at the Cambridge Health Alliance have been eviscerated. Getting access to these services is becoming more difficult every day. If we want our community to be safer, we need to invest in more mental health services, not in more policing. In closing, my heart is heavy and I want justice. I want us to move beyond platitudes, empty promises, defense of our supposedly progressive police force, and the use of the passive tense. The upcoming special meeting is a good first step, but I will also be calling a public safety meeting in the coming weeks to continue this critical conversation. And tonight, I'm calling on our police department to disarm immediately or disband. We cannot accept the status quo, and I will not stop calling for justice for Faisal and for all our community members. This young man from our community is gone forever, and we will never get him back. As a council, we can choose to act or we can continue to do nothing. I hope we will choose to unite in grief, listen to the community, and deliver justice for Arif Sayed Faisal, his community, and everyone. Thank you.